A sharp crack split the morning when the cop shoved Emma Miller, 72, against the squad car's gleaming hood. "Shut up, old lady," he shouted, sniffing out guilt that wasn't there. Before the elderly woman could grasp what was happening, her cane slipped from her fingers and ricocheted across the asphalt. "I'm just walking," she stammered, her voice shaking more than her legs. The rookie partner yanked her purse away. "Let's see what this black woman's hiding." Emma reacted on instinct, but a heavy forearm pinned her to the hot metal. The side mirror cracked when her head struck it. A thin line of blood ran down her temple and soaked into the tiny flowered dress, a reminder of gentler times. A few steps away, a boy raised his phone. Another hesitated on the opposite sidewalk. Eyes met, but no one stepped in. The sun flashed off the badges on the two white men, an unspoken warning of danger. "Gonna raise your voice at me?" growled the bigger officer, bunching her dress in his fist. "Resisting and acting aggressive, you're under arrest." The words hung in the air, as absurd as the charge. "Aggressive?" Emma muttered, feeling the warmth of blood reach her collar. "I just wanted to buy fruit." Her murmur was drowned by passing engines. Yet the old anger inside her flared. An ember kept silent for years. The street, though, rolled on indifferent, as if violence and routine were longtime friends. Emma staggered as the pavement seemed to give beneath her feet. Her cane, her only balance, lay behind her. A baby-faced cop lifted it with two fingers like trash and snapped it against the squad car hood. The crack echoed down the street. "Helped you walk, huh, Granny? Now get by without it," he taunted, grinning for applause. His partner answered with a short, raspy laugh, satisfied with the show. "Always playing the victim so no one can touch you," he added. "You put criminals in the world and then cry about it." Emma wanted to shoot back, but the air wouldn't obey. The burly cop dug his fingers into her arm, dragging her like a sack of rags. "No questions," he muttered, hot, sour breath on her cheek. "Stay quiet or you're going in the trunk like the animal you are." The threat weighed heavier than the grip, yet she tried. "This is abuse. You can't." The younger one slammed her against the car's cold metal. The blow stole her breath. A buzz filled her ears. His knuckles whitened as he held her down, taming her like an animal that needed to learn its place. And the street, indifferent, waited in silence for the next act. Emma felt the snap of an orange peel before she noticed the groan escaping the fallen woman's mouth. The cop crouched beside her and hissed in her ear, "Hurting, Blackie. Then learn not to stare at the ones in charge." The impatient partner shoved her against the blistering hood. "Lean on it and cut the theater," he yelled. Emma tried to say she'd only been crossing the street, but the words died when the metal scorched her cheek. The two swapped complicit glances. The bigger one drove his elbow into the base of her spine. The blow robbed her breath. Her legs buckled and she slid to the asphalt, where the sun's heat boiled the pema of her hands. She shook, torn between rage and terror, her ribs throbbing. Around her, a handful of onlookers hesitated. Phones up, faces blank, no one stepping forward. The younger officer turned on them, unloading his fury. "Put those phones away and move on. She's under arrest." Emma, still woozy, fumbled inside her dress for her own phone. Numb fingers struggled to find it, but at last the plastic appeared. From somewhere on the avenue came horns and confused shouting, sounds tied to a different scene unfolding. "Grab that maniac!" Someone screamed across the street, stirring the crowd. Emma looked up, gasping. A shadow was closing in too fast, and in the cop's eyes flickered for a second the same fear they'd just planted. The officers spun simultaneously. Half a block away, a shirtless guy was sprinting across the lanes, yelling and kicking at the air. Tires screeched, a taxi scraped a pickup's rear bumper, and a chorus of horns filled the avenue. The younger cop cursed, finger already on the radio. The graying partner released Emma's arm and took 2 steps toward the chaos to see what was going on. That was the opening she'd been waiting for. Heart-pounding, Emma pulled the phone hidden in her jacket lining. Her fingers, stained with dried blood, shook, but it unlocked on the first try. She called once, twice, 3 times. Tears welled up, not from fear but from the burning throb in her face. She stayed curled up, back against the bumper, as fragile as a feverish child. "Mom!" The voice on the other end made her throat lock up. She swallowed hard, eyes fixed on the asphalt. "Son, they hurt me," she murmured. The reply came in a tone she barely recognized. icy, steady, ready to explode. "Who? Where are you?" 115th Street, corner with Miller in front of the bakery, she whispered, nearly inaudible, as another horn blasted nearby, drowning out the end of the sentence. A sharp click ended the call. Emma slipped the phone into her bag, deliberate, like someone pulling back a piece before checkmate. Her face gave nothing away, but her knees trembled, betraying the storm inside. Behind her, metallic voices of officers argued over the radio. "A lunatic runs across the avenue naked and we're stuck babysitting this old hag on the ground?" One grumbled. "Relax, she's already detained. She's not going anywhere." The same cop came back, nudged Emma's shoe with his boot, and confirmed her eyes were still searching for air. "Still alive, witch," he sneered. Emma lowered her gaze, submissive on the surface but razor-sharp inside. She wouldn't go down here. Something bigger than pain or shame was on its way, and it was in a hurry. Every breath came in shards. The dried blood tugged at her face. The asphalt burned through the thin fabric. Sharper still were the curious eyes stabbing from afar. No one stepped closer. The younger officer turned toward the woman filming from the sidewalk. "Put that phone away. She fell on her own. Post it without context, and you're on the hook too," he warned. The woman swallowed, lowered her phone, and tried to disappear. Cars crawled by as if waiting for the next act in the public drama. The street, though, kept watching. The second cop came through the door already huffing, sweat shining on his chin. The lunatic left in an ambulance, screaming like a rusty engine. And the woman? Still holding on. She doesn't break easy. Go through her bag. I'll bet my day off in Siena we find stolen stuff. Her ID, inhaler, 3 crumpled prescriptions, and a wallet so worn it was almost dust spilled onto the pavement. Nothing but the odds and ends of someone who can barely cover rent. "Told you. They act like saints and aren't worth a dime," the officer growled. Emma's chest hammered at the silence. She wanted to cry, scream, claw faces, but her body only trembled. A kid on a bike slowed, stared for half a second, and vanished. That hurt more than the shoves. Living proof no one saw her. "What are you staring at, old witch?" the rookie snarled, tossing a greasy wrapper at her. "You asked for it." In that instant, something clicked inside her. A countdown timer. Her son had answered the call, and when he arrived, every corner would learn the name Emma Miller. "Cut the scene already," the big guy grunted, checking the camera was off. "Now what?" his partner whispered. "Throw her in the squad car. If she resists, we'll say she slipped. And if she screams?" The older cop leaned beside Emma and murmured, "Your choice. Walk to the cruiser, or do you want to be dragged?" She stayed silent. The swelling around her eyes spoke of exhaustion and a tense calm, like the hush before lightning. The rookie raised his arm. "Fine, your way." The roar came without warning, tires screeching, a heavy engine. A black, unmarked military pickup swung around the bend, slammed the brakes, and sat rumbling in the middle of the street. The back doors flew open. 2 soldiers jumped out and stood guard. Then the commander stepped down. Polished boots, immaculate olive green pants, chest out, spine straight. His metals clinked, but what froze the air was his stare, hard as ancient ice. He strode toward the officers. Nobody tried to stop him. The rookie lowered his arm, rattled. The big guy coughed, trying to sound authoritative. "Standard procedure, sir. Keep your distance." The newcomer ignored the warning and kept going. A soldier handed him a phone. "Secure line, transmission open." Without looking away, he reported. "Assault in progress on unarmed civilian. 2 officers involved. Coordinates 34.2079-118.2828. Response authorized. Pause. Confirmed. Priority 1. He closed his phone calmly and stared at Emma. She met his gaze, eyes wet but proudly dry. "Ball, Mommy," he said in an almost childlike whisper. "Ball, my boy," she replied. He turned to the motionless police officers. The burly one tried to explain himself, voice shaky. We didn't know who she was. This isn't what it looks like." The answer came firm and low, impossible to ignore. "Quiet. My mother, a citizen of this country, is 77 years old. You broke the cane that held her up, knocked her down, and spat on her dignity." Without raising his voice, he gestured. The soldiers waiting at the corner moved in, boots pounding rhythmically on the asphalt. "Kneel and drop your weapons now. I won't be responsible for what happens next." "This is insane," sobbed the younger agent. "You don't have authority over us." "I'm General William Miller," he declared without blinking. "And you just assaulted the mother of a member of the United States Army High Command. You're under federal jurisdiction." The ground seemed to give way. A pistol slipped from trembling hands. The second cop swallowed hard and dropped to his knees. The sound of metal on concrete deepened the silence. Emma stayed still. She watched her son, her boy, standing like a wall in front of their attackers. William stopped one step from the two men. His shadow covered them completely, as if the street itself wanted to erase their presence. The younger officer barely raised his eyes. He seemed to want to fuse his forehead to the concrete. The big one held his chin high, muscles taut, trying to keep the authority slipping through his fingers. "What's your mother's name?" William asked, letting each syllable weigh. The man hesitated, blinked, searched for help that wouldn't come. Susan. Susan Rawlings." William leaned in slowly, bringing his face close until only fear separated them. "Picture her on the ground, mouth bloody, back giving out after an elbow. A broken cane, just splinters where support used to be. Can you see it?" The burly man's chest shook. Every breath seemed to tear its way in. No." William pressed his lips into a hard line. "And you still did that to mine." Unhurried, he turned to Emma, knelt and wiped a white handkerchief across the temple stained dark red. The gesture was as delicate as picking up porcelain. "Does it hurt?" he asked softly. "No more than on other days," she answered, giving a smile that bled with her. His fists clenched, and the silence that followed was thicker than any siren. William straightened, facing the officers only a few steps away. Something in his eyes promised a coming storm. "Listen up. What's next will hurt more than any blow you've ever dealt." The hallway seemed to shrink, the clock to slow, and no one breathed as the next act announced itself. William stepped up to the burly cop, voice low, almost touching the agent's face. "Every second of what you did today will weigh on you for the rest of your life." The man tried to straighten, but William didn't back away. "Your badge? Tomorrow it'll be held up as a trophy of shame. They'll see the hero was just a bully in uniform." The agent began. "Sir, you don't have authority." A sharp snap from Emma cut him off. It wasn't violent. It was the clean motion of brushing off something filthy. The sound made the partner shrink. William turned to the younger one. "You'll cry during the interrogation, won't you? You'll say you were just following orders. I'll be there every day to remind the jury nothing was an accident." He raised a hand to the soldiers. "Cuff these two, and I want them delivered intact, without a scratch." A soldier produced reinforced handcuffs. The officers stayed on their knees, reflected in the live camera lenses. When the metal closed around their wrists, their heads lowered, not from pain but from fresh-born shame. An officer read the provisional charges in a firm tone while an aide relayed them to a federal prosecutor. Abuse of authority, excessive force, racial discrimination, violation of civil rights, obstruction of justice, and attempted cover-up. With each new charge, the cameras pressed in, and the crowd drank in the sight of those once in control, now powerless in their own shackles. Every word shredded the policeman's pride. The younger one sobbed openly. The burly one ground his teeth. "This is a circus," he hissed in a final breath of bravado. Standing beside his mother, William Miller listened, stepped forward without hurry and without raising his voice. "Circus? No. This is what happens when two cowards pick the wrong target. You kneel. Before the law, before my mom, and before the whole country." The lights snapped on. The live sign lit every screen bright red. The reporter lifted her mic, hungry for a headline-worthy moment. "General Miller, any words for the folks watching at home?" William stared into the lens with the steadiness of someone who knows the weight of the moment. "To everyone who's ever thought about hurting someone because of their color, their age, or thinking nobody would see, heads up, we see you, and we won't stay quiet." The air held its breath. Nobody dared to cough. He finished, eyes still locked. "Today it was my mom. Tomorrow it could be yours." With no fuss and no fight, the two cops climbed into the cruiser. Their humiliation, caught in high def, sped through thousands of living rooms as a vivid reminder that when justice shows up, it doesn't need to shout. Once the buzz died down, Emma lightly touched her son's arm. "You know what I want now?" "Tell me." "A nice hot cup of tea, and my old armchair." The request drifted through the air, reminding everyone that after a reckoning comes the simple comfort of going home. William took a deep breath, and once the danger was truly behind them, a small smile appeared. Not victory, but pure relief. "Let's go home, Mom," he whispered, like someone gathering treasure after a storm. Arm in arm, mother and son crossed the narrow street to the car that had arrived like lightning and now waited in silence, engine still warm. The sun beat down on the cracked asphalt, but fear was starting to melt under shared courage. Each step echoed a new promise. From now on, nothing would ever be the same. That late afternoon etched a truth into the concrete and into the memories behind curious windows that no one can erase. Never underestimate a lady walking with a son who hasn't forgotten who taught him to stand when the world looked like it was falling apart. If that scene grabbed you, buckle up because there's more. There was another time he thought she was just the cleaning lady, until with the same guts she showed facing danger, she signed off on an airplane design in front of a room full of stunned specialists. Want to see how that twist blows up? Hit the next video, meet us there, and find out. Before you go, make sure to subscribe, drop a generous like, and tell us in the comments what country you're watching from. We'll see you in a sec. And if you're still here, thanks for sticking with us. Remember, every story hides unexpected strength, including yours. So subscribe, ring the bell, and hit like so more people can find this video. Tell us in the comments where you're tuning in from and what you thought of this twist. We'll catch you in the next chapter. See you then.